Hello. Okay. Hi. So I want to talk to you today about a few things, but mainly the whole topic of this video is human design and relationships. So, relationships, any relationship, whether it is your relationship with your partner, your friends, family, coworkers, children, it is all a reflection of ourselves. And so when things come up, triggers or not triggers, there is something to learn about who we are and how we navigate and learn a little bit deeper about ourselves. And through the human design lens, that shows where the signpost is. Like human design gives you the signpost, it gives you the guidance that you can, that little nugget that you can take and go deeper and learn more and experiment and try it out and see what happens. And so that's why I love human design, because it adds the logical, it adds the, connecting the dots, connecting the pieces, and it makes sense. And then it also shows what does not belong to you. And sometimes we take things on that we think belongs to us, but human design actually shows us it doesn't. And letting it go is a lot easier than believing it is ours. So I've had, yeah. So for the longest time, my human design experiment. So I'm on like I'm like in year 3 of the human design experiment, going on to year 4. But right now in year 3, and so what I've learned, like in the beginning, like so if you look at like the human design profiles, like year 1 is all about learning. It's like it's the investigator part. So that's like year 1. I remember just doing a lot of research, learning everything and what it means, but then also absorbing other people and the other types. Year 2 was very much hermit, hermit to integrate, hermit to like, kind of like trial and error, like, like practice what it means to be a projector, self-projected projector. And then now I'm in year 3, and it is a lot of trial and error. It is basically really putting myself out there and seeing what works, what doesn't work. Then eventually there'll be year 4, year 5, and year 6. And so being in year 3, I am trying things out. And I am also like, it is a trial there, and I'm learning now. I felt like year 1 and year 2, I was learning human design, deconditioning for myself, like who I am. Like, because I was living on my own, I was in my own space. I started to understand what it means to be a projector, what it means to be in like deconditioning myself in my own little bubble. Now I feel like I'm deconditioning in a different level, because I live with someone. I live actually, like, well, both of my places, like in Whistler and in Ucluelet, I live with roommates. Well, I live with roommates in Ucluelet, and here in Whistler, I live with a partner. So both of these instances, I am learning to navigate what it means to decondition and be in alignment in my human design when there's someone else in the picture. And it was something that I didn't know before, and now I'm learning, and especially like knowing what their types are and who they are and how I take on energy from them or how they take on energy from me. Also, like, where are they showing my not self? So the thing is that when you are with people on the daily, especially living, whoever you're living with, whether it is your roommates, your parents, your partner, your kids, the mirroring is showing you where your not self theme is based on what defined and undefined centers each individual has. And so it is really interesting to understand, to navigate that. And so I know, for example, in my case here in Whistler, like I live with an emotional generator, and I'm a self projected projector. So what does that mean? Emotionals versus a non-emotional, like that in itself, like half of the population are non-emotional and the other half is emotional, like give or take like some percentages in there. But that's basically like the sum of it. And so non-emotionals, like we don't like confrontation. We are empaths. We take on someone else's like emotions, like especially the emotionals, like we take on and we amplify emotions. So like let's say you're talking to an emotional and they're angry about something, but in the midst of their emotional wave, as a non-emotional, you can take that on and you amplify the anger, or you amplify the happiness, or you amplify whatever emotion it is. And sometimes it can cause explosion, right? Like it could cause like, like an explosion out to the other person. But that's because we're amplifiers. And then you have the emotionals that need to ride away before making a decision. They need to sleep on things. They are not meant to make decisions in the midst and height of their high or low emotion. Emotionals need to make a decision based on a place of neutrality. And so this is where understanding, non-emotional, understanding the emotional of being like they need to take their time. I'm taking on their emotions. It is important to walk out and walk away from, if you are a non-emotional living with an emotional, it is really important to have your own space and your own time. So whether it is getting out of the house and like being in your own little energy to make a decision, because if you are living with an emotional, you are plugging into their emotional wave. And so then like making a decision from a high or low emotion also applies to you. And I'm lucky that the person I live with in here in Whistler, he's emotional, but he is out of the house during the day. So Monday to Friday, basically until 4 or 5 p.m., I have the place to myself. I'm in my own energy. And it is a place that I can sit and kind of make decisions based on my authority and not having to ride an emotional wave. So it is understanding like these dynamics of like, what happens and what happens when you live with someone. And like another example is that I have an undefined spleen with 3 gates defined. And he has a defined spleen with all the gates defined plus some channels in there. And so when I'm with him, it feels, if like things are good. But then when he leaves, the not self of my gates are amplified. And this is where I am being shown to look at them and to how can I navigate the not self through these gates, and how can I decondition them and work through them. And so these are little like snippets of what it means, like when you are like people are a reflection of yourself. That's what this means. It means that they are showing you what you need to learn and grow about you. And that's what all relationships do. Whether it is like, your coworkers that you're working on the daily, your kids, your parents, everybody. And so with that being said, as you know, if you don't know, as you know, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I love human design, and I've been like diving into human design and wanting to learn more and more. Like I already have hired and worked with another human design guide. She's teaching me about the variables right now. So that's not something I'm teaching in my business, because I feel like I need to experiment that a little more and understand that on a deeper level. But I'm always learning and I'm always diving in deep and seeing like, how can I utilize this in my life? And I find it so interesting. I find it interesting observing people. I basically love to chat with people about it. Anybody who talks to me about human design, I can like talk into the late night hours. And I will be actually having a few guest speakers on here where we are going to talk about human design. So it's really cool. I have like a generator that she's going to come on. I like actually 2 generators. There is going to be a Mani-Gen. There's going to be a manifester that's going to come on too. We're not talking about human design, might talk about other things, but you can definitely like see the energies of each type and how they are and how our conversations flow. I noticed with like Mani-Gens, for example, like a conversation can like bounce from one place to another, and it's just like boop, 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 like all the things, right? Whereas like with a generator, it's a little more like structured, a little, maybe not fully, but a little bit more. So yeah, passionate about human design. I also do have a strong interest about relationships, and I love observing people. I love observing relationship dynamics. I love observing people, interactions. I remember even when I used to bartend, I used to observe the bar, like who's hitting on who, looking at people's body languages, like noticing the different conversations that are happening. And I just find it really interesting. Like, I am a huge observer in group settings. I am more the one to sit back and observe versus like engage in a conversation, because I love analyzing and observing people. So relationships have always fascinated me. I've read a lot of books on romantic relationships as well, like the 5 love languages, what's called the mastery of love, like because the same author as the 5 agreements. I've read that book. There's other ones I've read. I can't remember right now. And I've also listened to a lot of podcasts based on relationships, podcasts such as like Mark Groves. He's like one of my favorite podcaster coach that talks about relationships. So I find his stuff really good and intriguing, and just like always learning and being curious about it. And like now, being in a space where I am applying it to my life, like in my situation, and like everything I've studied, like how can I apply it to actuality, right? Like there's one thing of like reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts, like doing all the programs, but when it comes to the actual practicum, like even with human design, it's different. It's a whole different ball game. It's because one, human design is a trial and error figuring out for you. But in a relationship, when you're like taking all these tools that you learn of how to navigate a relationship, you are dealing with someone else. You are dealing with another individual and they are their own human. They are their own person. They have their own wounding and everything. And it's like how to navigate that and have that compassion, but then also setting the boundaries and the communication, etc. So really learning about that. And where I'm going with all of this is because of all like these areas that I'm passionate about. Yesterday I had this idea. Well, it was a thought that has come to me before, but there was no, like, I couldn't piece it together, if that makes sense. Like, it was just like, oh, eventually I want to do a program on relationships, but I didn't know the how or the what or, what the details are. But now I have a little bit more clarity, and I want to incorporate human design and relationships. And I want to be able, like, I want to look into those 2 aspects and blend that based on my clients. So like if you are interested in this, I would be looking at your chart and whoever you're living with or dealing with on the daily. So doesn't mean you need to be in a couple. Be like if you are like a single parent, I will be looking at your kids' charts. If you are in a partnership, obviously your partner. If you have roommates, it will be your roommate because you do plug into their energy. And it is just kind of looking at your chart and their chart and seeing, the signpost of like what it is you are meant to learn about you based on human design. And so I'm going to be offering this as a pilot program to start because I've never done anything like this before. I've done like couple readings, but it's going to be a little bit different. This is going to be a little bit deeper than just like, human design reading. And so being a pilot program, so I've done a pilot program last year. I did it on the money program. And so there was a few things I learned about that pilot program. So now I'm going to be adjusting this one to be a little bit different, a little bit more structure. But I do want to offer this pilot program, and I'm going to offer it as a sliding scale, basically because it is something that I'm trying out and I want to see how it unfolds. And so having it as a sliding scale of basically like paying, not like paying what you can, but then, like also if you want to pay more, you pay more. But yeah, it's offering at a sliding scale to like try it out and see what happens. Um, yeah, so that is what I want to offer, and it's going to be over the summer months. I'm looking at starting in July, and I'm thinking like 3 months, a 3-month program, 2 sessions a month, so about 6 sessions total, like as a starter. And if it is something that you want to go deeper on and continue on, then we can extend it. But I think like as a starter, like the basic, the intro, I'm thinking that like 3 months, 6 sessions, 2 sessions a month, giving you time to process the information, implement and analyze and reflect and contemplate. This is definitely going to be a lighter program than what the other programs I offer, like such as the inner child healing and the money program. This one is a lighter one. It's definitely lighter. And that was also the other idea of like offering something lighter over the summer, because I know even myself, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do like deep wound shadow work in the midst of a summer. Like summer's fun, like it's sunshine, it's going out, it's having a good time. But doesn't mean that I don't want to continue to grow. So I'm like, well, if I'm feeling that way, like then I'm sure other people are feeling this way as well. And I do know that some of my clients also have taken a break. They have taken a break over the summer months because they are working with me on more the inner child healing aspect of things and the money stuff. And so they've taken a break because they're like, whoa, like it's a lot, like we need to take a break. And so that is completely normal. And so this is what I'm thinking. So if you are interested, you can definitely write a comment on this YouTube channel. Let me know, and then I can reach out to you. I have included my website and my Instagram, so you can go on Instagram, send me a DM. You can go on my website. You could go on the contact form, whatever feels right for you. I won't be reaching out to you because I'm a projector, and yeah, we're meant to wait for the invitation. So there won't be any cold DMs is what I'm saying. But if you reach out to me, then obviously I'm going to like respond and give you all the details, what the sliding scale is, what to expect. But then also like find out where you are at, like in terms of, like kind of like which relationship are we going to look at, right? Like, and it's like if you have a partnership with kids, like we can definitely like I would be like kind of dabbling all aspects of that. And if you are single and you are not living with anybody, then this is where I would be looking at who do you interact the most on the daily with? Is it like your friends, your coworkers? Like who is it that is in your life mostly? And then like that's how we're gonna use that to kind of like analyze and reflect and contemplate. So that is all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be chatting with you all soon. Bye.